Good evening, everybody. So, what an interesting time we live in. It's time we all spread a little bit of love. I'm here at my painting table. So if anybody's got any painting questions, get your painting questions in. I'm here just to spread some joy. I've got my guitar. I might do it to music. So yeah, if anybody wants to know anything, I'm doing this purely out of love for you guys. Yeah. So yeah, any painting questions, any painting advice, any hobby advice. Yeah, believe it or not, I can do more than paint. If you look down here on the floor, you see I'm building a table as well. And look at all that scenery there. Yeah, there's plenty going on. So yeah, who's doing what tonight? Anybody need any Qatar painter? You're a regular around these parts. Hello, how are you? Battery's running out and I've only just got on. What's that all about? Building a female mine. Oh, okay, yeah. 3 in the morning in Illinois. Wow. Painting some pirates for your umbar. I need my bally phone charger. I'll be back. So, I guess by Pirates of Umbar you mean Lord of the Rings, yeah? Just show some of my hobby knowledge off there. Cool models, aren't they, the Umbar guys? I quite like the Harad as well. Is any of you guys been following along the painting of this guy? I hope you're enjoying the video. Yeah, it's taken a little time, but I hope you're learning something from each stage. The last video was a lot more fast-paced because just didn't need to be repeated that much, you know. So yeah. So yeah. So for those newcomer guys, if you've got any painting questions, like ask anything about the hobby. Any blues. Tune slide. ever painted the Tau Now Supremacy battlesuit? No, I haven't. But what do you wanna know? Cat-eye painter asks, how on earth do you pick up all the basin material that's on my floor? I use a Hoover and nothing more. Except maybe a sweeping brush. Any tips for painting a dark flesh tone, Tommy? Of course there is, Reese. The key is to keep it simple. Go for shades more than highlights. Good colours to choose would be Doombull Brown. While it doesn't necessarily encompass all dark skin tones, it's a pretty good all-rounder. If you start to go up from there, you can get more like Middle Eastern kind of darker skin tones. If you generally shade it, say with black colours, cooler black colours, then you'll get more of an African skin tone. But you've got to be careful using such broad continents as descriptions for skin tone, because there's all types of skin tones all over these places, really. But yeah, keep it simple. Just try not to highlight too much. Now, if you know what you're really doing, then you can highlight as much as you want. But I assume you need this keeping at a very particular level. So there you go. Fast way to paint a dirty dark Mechanicum Force. Black and copper. Any suggestions for speed? Yes. When it comes to the actual dudes themselves, try not to glue the legs on. Dry brush those legs up separate. Spray everything black. Do all your metal dry brushes first. The next thing is dry brush everything, whether it's going to be copper or metal. Yeah, dry brush it all in a dark metal colour. Okay, then do your copper bits over that, but just do one coat, because the metal colour that you'd already dry brushed on will show through basically act as a first metallic coat. Okay, now it doesn't matter that your, so let's say Balthazar Gold you put over that doesn't go on as strong. If it does ace, if it doesn't, so what? Because when you wash it with a brown, something like maybe Griffon Sepia, Seraphim Sepia, or Devil and Mud, for example, that'll then warm it back up and bring those browner, earthier tones back in, doing a lot of the work for you. Make sense? Yeah? Now, when you're doing that initial dry brush, try to avoid hitting the cloak and creating more work for yourself over the black. All right? So when all that washing's dry, wash everything in black as well. There's a good idea. In fact, here's a better idea. Mix some brown, probably Griffon Sepia, with a bit of blue, and you can wash the entire model in that. The brown will start to really show through on the copper bits. The blue and the brown mixed together will look more of a warm black shade, so you have one shade to rule them all. Okay, dry brush, copper bits, single wash, avoid getting stuff on your black bits, bang the eyes in, done. You could smash out so many dudes in like no time. When it comes to tanks, follow the same rules, but building sub-assemblies, if you can, things like tracks, yeah, and if you're doing knights, keep all the armour panels separate, because you'll want them a clean separate colour. Good luck. Right, what else we got going on? Bam, 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 bam. No contrast paint. Nah. I don't know. I've never really used it, but we'll see how it all gets on. I perfect. Oh, anytime, Mr. Chris Torres. You inspired me to play the blues and give a painting lesson all at the same time. So thank you for that. Any more painting questions along with the blues? Any more painting questions from you fantastic people? Start! Good, I'm glad you play. Everybody should play. Here's why everybody should play, especially artists. Whether you be... In fact, here's why everybody should play. This life is more than about words. It's more than about seeing things. It's more than about tasting things. It's more than about feeling things. And all the arts, whether they be musical, whether they be based on paint, drawing, visual, or whether they be martial, or whether they be in cookery, they all contain similar elements that help feed the soul, feed your body, feed your mind, but also feed each other. And in that feeding each other, as you get better at one, you will automatically get better at the rest. So studying these things is wise. It's wise. And for example, many Chinese masters, martial arts, for example, are also very good at cooking and calligraphy and bone setting and things like that. The reason they were good at these things is because they also believed that all these things were healing and as a service to the community. Because as a martial artist, you're not there to damage, you're there to protect. And if you are going to damage somebody because you have to be able to heal them too and take responsibility for any of your actions, you know. So it's all about, life is more than just painting, life is more than just musical, life is more than just food, life is more than just all these things. It's all these things combined that make life, and that make life worth living. Otherwise, we're just a fucking creature on the planet waiting to die. You know, people ask what's the meaning of life. The meaning of life is to live, man. Live, experience, you know. So you've got all these things that feed into each other. So there you go. Just have a nice chord to go along with what I just said that isn't bluesy. Handcrafted Gaming asks, hey, whoa, comments, come back. Handcrafted Gaming asks, what type of setup do I use to produce my contents? From brushes and the camera rig I use. I'm wanting to start doing some content videos myself. What type of setup do I use? Almost like nothing technical. I've got a thing to hold me camera phone. Yeah, I do it with a camera phone. Alright. I've got this lamp. Woo! Just a bog old standard lamp. Got my Siege Studio stickers on it. My Heavy Metal Journeyman miniatures. If anybody wants to send me some more stickers, what else have I got? Rose Me and Co. Yeah, Get yourself a free ad plug on my lamp. Brushes do I use? I use like so many different types of brushes. I mean, for the last painting lesson I ran, I used this series 7 size 2. For some of my Ogroid Myrmidon videos that are on YouTube, I've been using the names come off it. What's it called? I can't see the name. An Italian brush one of my other students brought to me. Let's see if I can find the... It gave me two. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Borsiani Bonazzi. These guys. It's got to be backwards, but there you go. Borsiani Bonazzi. Yeah, pretty good. I mean, generally, like, my most commonly bought weapon of choice is the Element Games Character and Regiment brushes, because they're pretty well affordable, and they're pretty good as well. The guys at Broken Toad Mark II brushes I'm using at the moment, I think they are just fantastic, but they don't make them anymore. I do have a packet of their Mark III brushes, but I haven't tried them yet because I'll use all the brushes I've got before getting onto those things. But what I do have, and I've kind of been planning this, I've got a range of different brands of brushes, brand new, I've kept in a bag over there, and one day I'll do a live video and a quick demo of all the different brushes so you can see what they like and blah blah blah. But here's one good piece of advice about brushes. It's really how you use it that counts, and learning how to adapt to different types and brands of brushes that will really get you through. Otherwise you risk becoming this kind of painter. You find a brush that you become familiar with. You confuse familiar with a good brush. Yeah? Almost all the brush brands are good. You're just familiar with it. So when you change a brush, you label that new brush bad. But it's a different brush. Are you good enough to adapt to that new brush and produce good results and not go, oh, I prefer this brand and that brand? No, you're just familiar with it. Familiar doesn't mean better. That makes sense. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, don't confuse familiar with better. Make sure you're able to adapt. While at the same time, make sure you're able to spot a good brush from a crap brush. But that requires being able to adapt with brushes. If you have got this skill of adapting through different brands and different qualities of brush, because they are out there, sometimes you get smoother brushes, you get rougher brushes, you get brushes with more flex, less flex, or snap as they call it. Some brushes have bigger belly, or well as I like to call it. Some brushes are pointed, some brushes are leaf shaped or teardrop shaped, some brushes are longer, some brushes are shorter. Can you adapt and find the use for them all? Yeah. When you can do that, then you're pretty worthy of judging a good brand brush from a shit brand brush. Right. Bit of plastic card as a palette. Never a tile. Never a wet palette. Because I can rely on these things. So yeah, there you go. Let's see who else is. I hope that helps you out, Mr. Handcrafted, by the way. Right, Star Art Miniatures. Favourite inks? You have a friend that started using acrylics from painted pictures. They come in tubes, yeah, things like Winsor & Newton, etc. Blah blah blah, and thinning them with white spirits for great effect as inks, washes, and G'd up terms. Games Workshop used to make ink, and using an actual ink is very different to using a watered down paint or a Games Workshop shade, for example. They're very different projects and very different products, and with very different properties. Again, same with the brushes, learn to use them all. Do I use inks anymore? I don't use inks necessarily. I do water down paint a lot. I'll use washes now and again if that's the kind of effect I'm going for. So it all comes down to objective. Does the medium I'm using suit the objective I'm going for? If not, then it's not appropriate. So yeah, that's pretty much how I deal with that. One big thing is if I don't varnish my models. I don't varnish my models because I get I aim using skill and experience, blah blah. part of my objective is to get a consistent finish using the mediums I've got without having to varnish, and that's something for everyone really should develop. And one of the things I do to do that is I only use paint where possible. Yeah, and if I'm only using paint where possible, then it's up to me then to manage the finish to a matte finish using only paint. Yeah, remind me of that, because I'm not going to tell you anymore. I want you to go on a little journey and see if you can discover it. Yeah, go on a journey and discover how does Tommy make his models look like they've been matte varnished when they haven't been varnished at all. Yeah, using Games Workshop paints, because that's pretty much all I use. Yeah, I hope some of you take that challenge. Next time I do one of these live streams, bring that up. ROS Workshop. No painting questions. You're excited about the new Ragnar model. Am I planning to paint one? My Ragnar is one of blah 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 blah. In fact, I'll read that properly, because there'll probably be people on YouTube watching this later on and they don't get the comments. No painting questions. I'm excited about the new Ragnar model. Am I planning to paint one of my own? My Ragnar is still one of your favourite models out there. Either way, cheers. Thank you. I've got no plans on... If I was to paint one of those Ragnars, I'd change a lot of things about it to excite me more. And I would... naturally, I'd put the banners on it. And I'd probably give him blonde hair. But I'd change a few more things to really do the same job that the Fiston model did. The Fiston model is an old classic that was blatantly inspired by old classic art and old classic GW, bringing those old retro folk back into the modern fold. Yet it was also a modern and fantastic new take on an old character. And for me, the new Ragnar model doesn't do that enough. There isn't enough of the archetypal things that make a Space Wolf a Space Wolf, the archetypal things that make a classic model, as well as bringing things straight up into the future. Alright, yeah, he's still got all he's still got appropriate armour, he's got the appropriate face, he's got the appropriate sword and blah blah blah. But there's more than meets the eye to making a model that really inspires all the genres of people within this hobby, and that'd be the first thing I'd do. And I'd use that model for parts to do that, or I'd need to inspect it really to know if I'd use it for parts or as the foundation to build upon, which is pretty much the same thinking I used behind making my Ragnar conversion that I won, like this guy. Boink. So yeah, there you go. Good question, that. Been waiting to have that conversation for a while, actually. Star Hat Miniatures says, "You're a jack of all trades. Oh, a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one." Maybe. Like I said, I think this is in reference to the learn as many of the sensory-based arts as possible type things. Like I said, when you start to get good at one, you'll start to automatically get good at the rest. Yeah, for example, warm and cold colours combine in very similar ways to create certain effects in the same way warm and cool foods do. Yeah. So like, for example, coconut is a very cool food, and you'll find it in Thai and Asian cooking, along with chili, which is a very hot food. You know, and these things complement each other very well. When you start to see the parallels in these things, then you'll start to see the parallels in other things, and you'll find there's a lot of common ground. Yeah. And same, you know, you can have very soothing, cool songs and very hot and aggressive songs. And you'll find that albums that take you on a journey Yeah, and create a lot of contrast, or a lot more interesting for more of the time than albums where songs are almost all the same all the time. It's an example of that. You listen to Green Day's American Idiot album, which is a great album, but before you know it, that album has ended. One, because it's so good, but also because the songs are all the same pace. They're all hot all the time, all the way through. So you kind of perceive that album as one album. Then on the other end of the scale, you've got something like Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. It's a very relaxed album, but it goes up and down and slow and soft. And then it'll bring in something soulful. Then it'll bring in something meaningful like that. Without words and with words. You see, there's always this contrast and journey to be played. And that's one of the keys to miniature painting, is contrast and the ability to guide the eye on a journey. Not just have everything meh. Yeah. So for example, here's something like you get some people that do all the shades and highlights the same size. Yeah. So, and around every part of every model, kind of like that picture frame there is the same size all around. That's why that picture frame is kind of a featureless thing. It frames the action in the centre. Yeah. Now, if all you've got is a picture frame, then you're missing something on the inside. So learn them all and you'll start to see. I'm just winging this out there just by now am I a master at cooking or guitar? No, I don't think so, but I'm pretty handy with a paintbrush, if I'm honest. I'm confident, you know. So, and it's through painting that I make a lot of these analogies. You can help yourself become a much better person, if I'm honest, and useful to yourself and those around you, which I think is the definition of a better person. Maybe, I don't know. Just came out of my mouth, that we'll see. Okay. Chris Torres, have I tried using sponges instead of brushes at any point? Yes, lots. I use sponges all the time to create battle damage, to create fades between colours, because you can create fades with textures and things like that, which is a great way of doing things. You can also do the same with brushes. I also combine the two. Yeah, so I don't know if it's in my Instagram gallery, but if you scroll through my gallery, you'll come across a Space Wolf Predator tank, or any of my Space Wolf tanks, for example. And you'll find some of the details look sponged, and then they also look scratched, like they've been brushed across something scratchy, you know. And that's an example of combination of stippling with a sponge and then scratching things out of a paintbrush. So yeah, Star How Miniatures, try everything, learn and apply new knowledge. Yeah, absolutely. Varnish is, Star Miniatures says, varnish is really only good to protect tabletop armies that get plenty of use with rough players. Well, the thing is varnish is only as tough as paint anyway, and it ain't really gonna protect your models too much more. You know, it's only like a couple of molecules thick of pigments thick of blank, you know. So now, if your models are metal, you're not going to stop them getting chipped, because that crispy outer coating will just be too brittle when any impact is made. Plastic, on the other hand, now if you undercoat your models with plastic, it's less likely to get rubbed off. Yeah, varnish on less likely to get rubbed off because at least Games Workshop undercoats, as far as I know, there's a little bit of solvent in there which binds to the plastic more, which, for example, when you try and strip that model of paint, the undercoat rarely comes off very well, because that undercoat wants to stay on there, and the undercoat creates a great key, a surface for the paint to adhere to, and you'll find plastic models are generally less prone to chipping and wear and tear. And then resin models, depending on the quality of the resin, how well they've been cleaned and prepared, generally don't water hold paint very well, unfortunately. So yeah, you need to pay 10 times more for that inconvenience, unfortunately. Anyway, blah 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 blah. What have we got going on? Who's saying what? So yeah, I tend not to varnish. Now, why would I varnish? In fact, here's some instances when I would varnish, because it really actually is a long armies. Let's say when I paint an army, I do like to play and try different things here and there. So if you look at any pictures of me Space Wolf army as a whole, the eagle-eyed people will notice I've got the odd model that's painted slightly different here and there. I might have been just having a bit of fun one time or trying out a different style. I have a Facebook page called The Siege of Barabbas, which doesn't really have me on it, but it does have a lot of me 40k armies there as part of their own little narrative campaign. And I've not updated in a very long time, but I might do at some point. But yeah, you can get full shots of my armies in there. But yeah, when you start playing with different styles and different techniques, you will start to get different finishes, especially if you're using different products. And then if you want to bring that under some kind of uniform banner, then a varnish would be very useful for that. So I'm very of the effect that it's not about practicality of the gaming, it's about the practicality of the aesthetic of the army is why I would use a varnish. But you guys use it for whatever you want, you know, who am I to tell you what to believe? Handcrafted says, love the banners. I assume that's in relation to Ragnar. Cheers, man. Thank you. Star Art Miniature says, yes, I agree. Light and shade, tension, release. Dark Side of the Moon is one of my favourite albums. There's a reason for that. It's so good in it. The frame also separates from the wall and the window, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, with frames rarely a feature. Unless you get one of those big fancy frames, in which case you end up looking at the frame and not the thing, which is a great lesson for bases. You should keep bases feet on the ground. If the base ever tries to steal the show from the model, then you've done something wrong. Yeah, the base is just the stage being set. Right, subbed on my YouTube channel. Cheers, dude. Thank you. Thanks for that assessment of Ragnar. I understand what you're saying. Thanks for the insight. Oh, dude, anytime, man. I mean, I assume you agree with me. The person who sculpted my fiston nailed it on, except on one account. One account. And the Mephiston is one of the best models that Games Workshop have released in a long time. Now, I may be biased because I am an old hammer guy. You know, I am 30 odd years in my making in this hobby. You know, so all those things that excited me as a young kid, well, they make up the foundation of what I'm emotionally excited by. You know, and while I am excited by new product a lot of the time, the excitement of that new product is built upon a foundation of those times way back long ago. Now, do newcomers to the hobby look at those old models and go, oh yeah, I see what you mean. I get why those old hammer guys are really protective of that time. Now, I can't answer that question. I'd love for somebody who is a newcomer to the hobby to answer that question. But then one person's answer in that is not the answer for everybody, you know. But the new Mephiston is shooting like this. Nobody shoots like that. Shoot like that. Now one tilt, either of the arm out a couple of degrees or the head tilted. Yeah. And again, this is why I deliberately made that decision with my Ragnar, because it humanises the situation. Yeah. It humanises that tilt of the head. Yeah, there's the gun straight. Notice the entire model is tilted to the left. Yeah, I know it's out of focus, apologies. But that tilt of the head, if his head was straight and looking like bang on, down the gun, or down the gun, so my fiston's more like this. It's just not how it works. It's just not how it works at all. See all these angles? You need the head tilted. You need the eyes looking. It brings life into a model, that slight asymmetry. Yeah. Great bit of advice if you ever posing and sculpting models. Here's another interesting one. While heads generally are tilted and eyes, so like a face, if you paint a face like this, regardless of what emotion is being expressed, never more interesting than this one. Yeah, so let's just take it right down to a basic. Here's my face. What is there to engage with as a subject, as a model, not a model, but you know what I'm saying, yeah? What are you thinking I'm thinking? Now watch this. All that's moved is my eyes. Are you more engaged with me all of a sudden? You're interested in something. Your imagination is now whirling. The moment I go like this. What do you think when you see me with that look? The only thing that's moved is my eyes. Nothing else has moved. So let's do the same, but I'll keep my eyes the same. Now does it make me more interesting? You start to engage more in what's going on in my head. Your imagination starts to go, what? And asking great questions. Here, the questions generally are the kind of what's the point? Disengaging questions, asking the subject to justify itself. Whereas this is, you want the question to, you're happy not having an answer because you can make them all up and all your answers are slightly exciting to you. I hope that makes sense. No more questions. So, yeah, whenever I look at faces, I try and bring a very human element in there, which includes adding wrinkles and texture and things like that. You know. So, like for example, here's another example. What was that power-fisted Imperial Fist called recently? Everyone was just like, oh, it looks like Jay Leno, blah 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 blah. So, I mean, that's not the fault of the sculptor, because if you look at many other of the great painted versions of that model there is around, you'll find that face looks nothing like Jay Leno, and that those painters have brought life. So again, let's talk about the job of a painter. The job of a painter is to bring to life, yeah, and convince the onlooker that this model is actively engaged in a lot of the hard work that the sculptor has done for them. Now, the job of a professional painter should be to enhance that. If you're not enhancing that, then you're undoing the work of the sculptor. And remember, the sculptor's probably done most of the work, most of the effort in what makes your job easier. Yeah, whether it be to create a great canvas for you to put effects on in some cases, like wrinkles and facial expressions, blah blah. So I'll use my Ragnar. I've painted his furrow brow. I've tightened right in here. Yeah, so a lot of this is paint as opposed to the sculpt. I've tightened it up and I've brought these right up and I've highlighted right up here. Really wanting, like, screw you, whatever you are doing. Yeah, but the sculpt is a lot softer. Yeah, so your job as a miniature painter, an aspiring good miniature painter, is to enhance that and bring it to life much more. So that sculpt doesn't necessarily look like Jay Leno, for example. That sculpt actually is a canvas for making it look however the painter, or the brief for the painter, chooses to make it look. And if things like that are not considered, then you end up with what you end up with. And if they are considered, then you end up with something else. It's as simple as that, really. So yeah. ROS Workshop says, totally, that's why you love my Ragnar so much of those old... Oh, thank you. But, you know, the thing is with that Ragnar, there's... in fact, I'll talk you through the old hammer elements. So, that don't exist on the new one. Banner, blonde hair. Did anybody... No one ever really noticed the pose I chose, because one of the big classic elements of the old Ragnar is his pose. Now, here, this is relevant to what I said about faces, actually. So, the old classic Ragnar model is posed like this. In fact, it doesn't have his legs crossed. The new one has his legs crossed. Not a very Ragnar-y pose. he's posed like this. Bah! Notice mine, I've made him asymmetrical. Yeah, same as the face lesson, and I've kept that open pose. To me, characters should have open poses because they're generally adorned more. There's no point putting all this adornment on a model to cover it up doing something. Regardless of how cool it might look to you, you've just undone a lot of your work as a converter, or as a sculptor, or as an artist, because all this deserves to be shown off. So are you clever enough to start thinking about how do I repose a model to A, make it look more dynamic yet natural, yeah, convincing, and sits towards the character of an army. So the Space Wolves, for example, what I will call very manly, masculine men, big effing men. And tippy toes is not what they do. Okay? What they do is they plant and they bludgeon your face off. Yeah? And they enjoy it. Yeah? And they enjoy it with rage. So how can you get all that in? Alright? Now a dynamic pose is all cool, blah, blah, blah. But can you make it encapsulate that manly warrior, Valhallan kind of feel? And that's really what you should be aiming at. You should really be looking at a model in many archetypes, yeah, of or cliches, if you will. You know, so you've got to ask yourself, what are the archetypes of what, let's say, a modern Ragnar would be? What are the archetypes of what a middle hammer Ragnar would be? What are the archetypes of what a classic Ragnar would be? What are the archetypes of bringing something new into the world? And then rolling all those into a ball, removing the ones that actually work against each other in the wrong ways, and then you should really be left with something that pizzazzes the eye. You know, looks like the old Lieben Russ. I mean, he's got the same coloured hair as the old Lieben Russ, but the old Lieben Russ is very static. He's just kind of stood there with his dogs gripped in his hands. He does have the banner over the back though. Almost, yes, but you might say they're the same model, but who knows? Only Games Workshop knows. You know. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this chat. You've all got me pretty fired up. All got me fired up indeed. Right, any more questions? Any more questions? Hey, I've been thinking about starting to do these live videos on YouTube. What do you think? The reason I've been thinking about it, one is I can do them as long as I can do them for, instead of just an hour. These are limited to an hour. And they're automatically uploaded to YouTube, and I can angle them that way and not have to fart around doing all that business. It's just there, ready. So, should I do them on YouTube? Given that I've got like almost 6,000 followers here, but not that many over there, because I'd like to reach a larger audience. See, I don't get paid for this. I do it purely because I enjoy it and to help you. But if all you 6,000 people aren't going over there, then I can't make it much better than what I get here. And this is not ideal for me or you. You know? So that's my one way of trying to convince you to go and subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the bell, ding dong dong and all that business, because it's here for my enjoyment and for your benefit, and it's as simple as that. So yeah. But if somebody does want to donate money, I do have a, like a Patreon account and all that business. But that Patreon account is purely about supporting what I give away for free. Really, it's not about, oh, you pay me so I must bow and scrape and give you extra things that other people don't get. I may do something like that, but I just don't, it doesn't inspire me, believe it or not. I just like to be here with you guys and answer your questions. Do you know what I mean? Dixie says, you suggest a few trial shows and see if numbers grow. Well, yeah, that's like the only way of doing it. I just wanted to talk about it really, because it's been just rambling around my own head. So to be honest, I don't often talk about my own hobby, passions and plans often with people outside of these things. I have somewhat an individualistic view on things, and if I'm honest, a lot of time I kind of keep it to myself. out. That's better. I don't actually know it, but is that how it goes? I don't know. Ask me more painting questions, I'm better at that. I think this is the greatest, best song in the world. Okay, I need play. Oh no, I forgot it. No, it's not right. Every 100,000 years or so, when the sun does shine and the moon doth glow and the dust doth blow home. That's the one, isn't it? The sun does shine and the moon doth glow and the dust doth blow. The beast was stunned with crap went his rumpy sail. That's how it goes. Toasty lemons, two of my favourite things. Mr. Pegasus, hello. With Golden Demon being cancelled this year, how do I push myself to finish that product I've been really looking forward to show off? I push myself by not giving a shit about Golden Demon, quite frankly, because if that's your only reason to be motivated by painting, then you don't really love painting, you love trophies more. And it doesn't matter, because you can show your models off anywhere you like, to anyone you like, at any time. That's the power of the internet. So yeah, there you have it. Yeah, I'm motivated purely by the project only, and in the immortal words of ex-heavy metal painter, Slayer Sword winner, multiple Golden Demon winner, and all-round excellent guy, Matt Kennedy, yeah, if you're painting just for trophies, you will be caught out, and because painting and great painting is about passion and soul more than it is about technical ability, etc, etc, etc. And a judge will see that. Now, I'm a judge myself. I'm a judge at Salute. Why do I judge? I judge because that is my opportunity to look at great painted models. I don't really care who wins and who doesn't win. To a degree, I care that the right decisions are made. Yeah, but I'm still a guest there, and I have to make those decisions based on being a guest in somebody else's competition. But yeah, you'll be found out. Any guy who's just finished a project just for the sake of finishing it, for the sake of some kind of tournament or fortune and glory, Dr. Jones, you'll always lose out to somebody who's painted to the highest standard with passion. For the sake of it, you know, so that's, you'll be found out, you know. And then on top of all that, Forge Manchester, yeah, it's just around the corner from me. What was I saying? What was I saying? I was saying some kind of words about, yeah, if I was to enter more painting competitions, I would rather pick from things I'd painted for fun during however many. In fact, Ragnar, the only Golden Demon I've won, because the only one time I've entered let's tell you the story of Ragnar and let you decide whether I was motivated to enter. I've had Ragnar finished for a good number of years now, right? And I painted him purely out of passion. I won my Ragnar in the staff painting competition for Games Workshop, and I won it last year, in the last of the mini Golden Demons. And the reason I won it is because Mike Mamicon, who has a great Facebook page, not Facebook page, Instagram page, he invited me and said he just wanted me there just to meet me. And what he did was he bought me a ticket and said, "No, you've got no excuse not to come." So I went, and I thought, well, let's do him, let's do something nice for him. So I decided to tart me Ragnar up a little bit, yeah, fix a couple of things here and there. Could have fixed more, but I didn't because I'm happy with it. And then, in fact, I fixed a number of models up. And then I when I met him at Golden Demon, I showed him all my models and I said, "You choose one to go in at Golden Demon." So he chose Ragnar. And when I went up to the desk, I said, "Look, you know, I don't work for Games Workshop all the time. I'm a reserve contract guy and I only work every now and again. What category do I put it in? Though right now I don't work for Games Workshop." And he said, "You put it in the staff." So I put it in the staff. And later on, I got Bronze Demon in the staff category, which was insane because, you know, you've got the likes of Gareth Nichols and Pedro Souto, who came silver and bronze. And the rest of the heavy metal guys, you know, apart from the judges, obviously. And for me to come third blew me mind. But Ragnar was painted out of passion, not fortune and glory. You know, it's as simple as that. And I didn't try to get a demon. You know, some might say the demon was already in that. You know, so passion has to come first. Passion. Let's change it up a bit. Let's do something happy. Questions? Y'all have gone quiet. Bosh. Who are the 5 people still in? Give me a wave. I like to know who I'm talking to. There's no guessing there. You know, so like, I'd like to know if I was talking to the Forge, whoever you might be. For I've probably never met you, though we're in the same city. Legion of the Bland. When trialling new techniques, do I sack off any happy accidents? Or do I keep them to learn from them? Well, both. If that happy accident isn't something appropriate for my piece, then it's gotta go. You know, but is it stored for later? Yes, most certainly. A lot of people in this hobby use the term technique when really what they mean is method. The other thing they also mean is result. And it drives me a little bit nuts because technique is in how you mechanically execute something. For example, some people will go, oh, your non-met technique is amazing. And that's not the technique that is amazing. It's the result they're judging. The result is the product of a method, and the method is applied using good or bad technique, which is why asking for recipes online will not get you the same results that your favourite painters are getting, because your technique is not the same or good enough. When learning technique, you'll also have your own style. Style is also a product of technique. Are you able as a painter to learn new techniques in order to adapt your style so you can emulate your favourite artists and the favourite results and effects they get through the same methods, or even better, through different methods? Because a good painter will be able to get just as good results with different colours and probably different methods and different techniques than another good painter. So like, you can get two guys going different ways, but because they're good painters, they'll get to the same place. Yeah. Now most people, they're all focused on, oh, what colours did you use? But they don't really know how to use a palette or a brush. Pointless. Yeah. Having the right ingredients does not make you a chef. It's as simple as that. Having the right tools does not make you a chef. Knowing how to use those tools does not make you a chef. Knowing how to use those tools, have the right ingredients, how to combine those ingredients, the order of those ingredients, and why, makes you a great chef. It's as simple as that, and that brings me right back to the analogy from earlier on. Right, guys, there's 10 seconds remaining. Thank you. Go and join my YouTube channel, become a Patreon, blah, 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 hit the bell.